Dear God, why did I even feel the need to describe my worst fear of all? You might be scratching your heads wondering what my worst fear is. Well, calm your illusions, I was just getting to that. Anyways, one of the worst fears I have involves the Wiggles. Now, I'm not just in the human Wiggles, not even the octopus, the dinosaur, the dog, or the pirate. They're a puppet version of the Australian band. And let me tell you, every night, they always tend to scare the living cream out of me in my dreams. Why? Their faces are just creepingly horrifying. Everywhere I go, I see their faces. Even when I take trips to Australia, they appear out of nowhere, almost making me have heart attacks. Hell, even on my 10th birthday at the orphanage, I asked for a toy in the Wiggles, and what did they give me? You guessed it, the puppet versions of them. I didn't even come out of my room for the rest of the day. But it's a good thing my good friend Diana Barry protects me from all the madness. Okay, in my opinion, this is just sounding like CREEPYPASTA describing my fears. Alright, now where was I? Right. The name is Anne Shirley. The place I am from is Green Gables. You might be asking if Green Gables is a real place. Well, the best information I could get from Google is that it's a 19th century farm and literary landmark in Canada that's based on the Anne Green Gables novels. Now, since Green Gables went for a failed time machine progress, TV exists now. Anyways, I bet you know what the Wiggles are. Moving on. There is a lost episode of this so-called Australian show that talks about the puppets. Now, because of my fears, my new adopted parents, who are Mr. and Mrs. Tweety from Chicken Run, signed me up for a program about facing personal fears and phobias. The first day was, to me, a bummer. How exactly? Well, one time I asked how long this program goes for most weekdays, and the teacher happened to be Bob and Larry, who said that it runs from 9 in the morning to 3:45 in the afternoon. I spent all day trying to figure out what something to do so the day could end faster, and I eventually got to the end of the day, but I had to sit in the too warm sun just so my bus could come. That was based on a real life event I had. I didn't even like the first day at all. But you know what I hate about this program? I have a bossy classmate whose name is Walter Matthews. Most days he keeps on calling me carrots all because I'm red-haired. Instead of smacking him on the head with a mini chalkboard like what I did back in Green Gables, I tend to beat him up. However, because I was rather brutal on that man, I ended up getting sent to jail for a few weeks due to my actions. I was disappointed that they didn't just call my parents nor did they give me a small punishment. The only reason they put me in jail was because the man was once dead, but somehow alive and looked rather old. And so I spent my days in jail. Things were extremely disgusting, which I'll explain in a moment. You see, I ended up having to share a cell with two women, and their names were Molly Ringwald and Tira. Molly Ringwald was arrested due to smoking weed in public, and for Tira, she had committed many acts of murder as her hobby was killing people. The two women were nice to me, and as I was still 10 years old. In jail, there's also this fat black man who keeps on repeating, "I gotta get out of here. There's too many females here." 24/7. Anyways, back to how jail was disgusting. The first thing we do is take our morning showers. As I'm past the men's shower room, I could see Lil Nas X along with other people singing and dancing to Industry Baby. The way they danced was just disgusting. While taking my shower, I saw a T-Rex and I dropped the soap. I picked up what an aggressive jail member saw. Next, we all ate breakfast, which was obviously breakfast from a restaurant in IHOP. There was a whole variety of food, so we could choose whatever we picked to eat. Did you honestly think I'd spend a few weeks in jail? Wrong. On the second day, Tira told me that she, Molly Ringwald, and I will be escaping from jail so that we don't spend our entire life in it. Later that evening, as the police station quieted down and the officer went to sleep, Tira pulled out a weapon that goes by the name of Eisern Drossel, however you say that word. She started to heavily bang on the walls to the point some bricks fell out of the building. It's a good thing I kept my original clothes in the bag. Anyway, the way we got home was by sneaking onto a boat. The boat smelled nice, as it wasn't one of those boats that carry garbage. While staring at the ocean with all the adorable fish and dolphins, a sea captain who came from New Zealand, or as American people used to call it, Aotearoa, said, "Oi! What are you sea scallops doing out of your cell back in jail?" We told him that it was Tira's idea, and then the sea captain said he'll force us to sing 6 months in a leaky boat all the way home. I gave the sea captain a sulk face after he said that, but then I told him that if he doesn't back away from us, I'd kick his nuts. He ran away, and me, Tira, and Molly Ringwald continued looking at the ocean. When we got back the next morning, I let two of the women go home, while I went to a porta potty and changed into my normal clothes. I was going to go to a public bathroom that someone would probably call the police as I had escaped jail. I finished changing and then decided to visit my friend Diana Barry. I ran to the doorstep and hit the doorbell. Diana opened it and gave me a hug as soon as she saw me. Diana asked me how jail was, and I said that it was painfully average. I got to meet Diana's new parents, who were Sir Topham Hatt from Thomas and Friends and Gloria from Bannington. We then had some dinner while having a discussion. I told Diana's parents that if someone notices I'm out of jail far too early, they would take me back. They believed me. We continued eating. After dinner, Diana told me that we should go upstairs and watch a new videotape she acquired. So we made our way to her bedroom, and Diana inserted the tape. She never proceeded to tell me the puppets from the Wiggles were on this tape. I got scared when I heard that, but I want to try and face my fears. The first thing that popped out on the tape was... Where was I? The first thing that popped out on the tape was the first few seconds of the shower scene from 1996 movie Fly Away Home. However, before Amy laid her finger on that one thingamajig where soap goes onto her eyes, a voice said, "Don't touch that thing." Amy screamed when she heard it. Turns out the voice came from director and actor Wes Anderson. He said, "Hi, I'm Wes Anderson. Do you happen to live on a farm and you're ever curious about how a shower works? Well, for this girl, she was about to get soap in her eyes, and that's not safe, which is why you need waterproof notes." I was curious how this is actually an SC on TV commercial. The way waterproof notes work is by placing it anywhere where water is nearby, and you can also label things for your next shower or bath. And that cut to the intro to the Wiggles. The intro was the one used for Series 2. Near the end of the intro, the Wiggles were seen in the front yard holding that same weapon that Tira used to bail her, me, and Molly Ringwald out of jail. They were chanting, "Hail God!" Sorry, that was fucking terrible. Let me try that again. "Hail God! Hail Jesus! And hail YouTube!" Anyway, the episode starts out with Greg in the kitchen making what looked like a pizza. The pizza had condiments like cheese, ketchup, and Oreos. Ugh, that's disgusting. I never put that on my pizza. Besides, if you're going to add ketchup to a pizza, don't put it in the oven. Use it as cold. As I figured you could cool down the pizza that way. Just then, Murray walked into the kitchen and smelled Greg's cooking. "What you making, Greg, man?" Murray asked. "Pizza," Greg replied. Murray saw the condiments of the pizza and was rather confused. "Why is there ketchup on the pizza?" Murray asked once again. "To make it tomato supreme," Greg replied. The next scene cut to Anthony digging a hole in the garden while he digged, his shovel banged on what looked like a video case. The VHS had puppets written on the cover. Meanwhile, Murray, Greg, and Jeff were watching an episode of SpongeBob on TV until Anthony came into the room and told the trio that he had found a videotape in the backyard. Anthony showed them the cover of the tape and asked if they could watch it. "As long as it's not a horror movie, that's fine by us," Jeff said. And that cut to a song which was Uncle Noah's Ark. However, there was a new change to the song at the end. Moses, as seen in The Prince of Egypt, came out and said, "We're secretly making a prequel to The Prince of Egypt where we meet Noah. Want to act in it? Your song will be perfect for the movie." The Wiggles agreed and had transitioned back to the Wiggle House. Can't believe this tape took 9 minutes to get working, but now we get to see what this tape is about, Anthony said. Maybe it's because it's been buried for so long, Greg replied. On the TV screen, it began playing that music video featuring the Wiggle puppets. Puppet Greg then walked in singing Can You Point Your Finger and Do the Twist as part of the remix. Greg looked awfully confused as he was watching the video. Is that me? I look weird, Greg said. Murray, Jeff, and Anthony would soon notice their puppet versions, and Murray said, Jesus, we look really uncanny. I was shocked by the fact that Murray took the Lord's name in vain. And about Dorothy, she's normal. Do you think this is a death trap? Anthony asked. Greg paused the tape to ring up if Dorothy was okay. We transitioned to Dorothy's garden as the phone rang. Suddenly a midget that looked like it came from a 2012 comedy film appeared and grabbed the phone. The first thing he said on the phone was, Hey yo, what's up? This is how the discussion before Dorothy came along went. Greg, Dorothy, is that you? Have you been smoking? The midget, No, I ain't Dorothy. I am her butler. What do you want? Greg, look, sir, I don't mean to put you in any trouble or anything, but is Dorothy there? We have a question for her. The midget, Yeah, she's here. Hey, Dorothy, an Australian man's on the phone. Dorothy began walking to the phone while some background music from Teletubbies began to play. She then picked up the phone and began talking to Greg. The conversation was about if Dorothy was placed in a trap by the puppet version of the Wiggles. Dorothy said no and proceeded to tell Greg that she got a chance to be included in the music videos, which was known as Wiggle Mix. We then transitioned to the shipyard where Captain Feathersword and Wags usually be seen. And of course, they were in this episode. Captain Feathersword was trying to show Wags how to snap, and nothing came to plan. That's when puppet version of Captain Feathersword came out of the blue and said, Ahoy there, me hearties! I'm Puppet Captain Feathersword! The way the puppet came out kind of terrifying because overall I had a fear of the puppets, and I was still trying to get over my fears. Captain Feathersword was shocked by this, and he said, Hey, that looks exactly like me, but my voice seems over high-pitched. Then the puppet Feathersword said, Well, duh, that's how some puppets on TV speak. Another song came on. It was a song called I Am a Dancer. I honestly do not have time to explain how the songs go in the episode, so I suggest you Google it. After the song, the next scene would show the Wiggle House at night. Greg was in his bed, calmly sleeping until he heard a knock somewhere in his room. Murray, is that you? Greg asked. No one gave a response. Greg got up to answer the door and no one was there, so he looked at the window. What he saw scared him. The puppet version of Greg was at the window. He was holding a sign saying to let him in. Greg opened the window and Puppet Greg came in. You're the puppet from that video me and the others watched. What are you doing here? Greg asked. The puppet version of Greg then said, Don't be afraid. We are not here to kill you. We're here to join the band. Greg then asked, Who's we? The puppet versions of Murray, Jeff, and Anthony then jumped for the window. These are my homies, Puppet Greg said. Greg then told the puppets that they already have members of the same name and he didn't want to spark confusion on who was who. I must be dreaming. I gotta pitch myself to get out of here. Greg pitched himself, but it turns out that those puppets were actually in his room. Nah, yellow man. Don't scream. You'll disturb the peace, Puppet Anthony told Greg. Suddenly the real Anthony walked in and saw the puppets on Greg's bed. Jeez, those puppets are real. They might want something with us, Anthony said. We'll talk about this in the morning, folks, Puppet Greg said. The next song came on, and it was entitled Zardo Zap. To summarize, Zardo Zap is about a female human-like alien who comes to Earth and has everyone dancing along to the song she sings. Morning came in the next scene. The Wiggles were having chocolate chip cookies and coffee for breakfast. The puppets proceeded to tell the quadruplet that they were built by Anthony. As soon as they said that, Anthony got a confused look on his face. What? So that means I invented you to make a videotape? What am I looking at? Puppet Greg then walked over to Anthony while trying to make a sinister look and said, Oh yeah, since the popularity of the Wiggles, Wiggles were born and ready to perform. Just then, the puppet versions of Dorothy, Wags, Henry, and Ken Feathersword came into the house, and the actual versions of the characters running in. These things are monsters! Dorothy shouted. Puppet Dorothy started jumping onto Greg's shoulder as Greg yelled, Get your hands off my shoulder! He then threw the puppet version of the dinosaur puppet Jeff, and everybody in the room started beating up the puppet selves. While the rest of the guys continued to beat up the puppets, Rory reached over the phone and dialed the police. As soon as he finished his call, another song came up, and the song was titled Walk. The song is about many places you can walk to, like the pool, school, the park, or any other place. The last scene showed multiple police people walking up to the Wiggle house. I actually managed to recognize most of the police. The people were Grandpa Joe, Ian Mercer, and the coachman. They said the command at the door of the face always wants to hear, which is, please. The door opened as the coachman yelled, You puppets! You are both under arrest for assault and battery. You have no rights. Come with us to the police car. The puppets were... Where am I? The puppets were arrested and the Wiggles felt like they were in peace. And then a scene of when a court session happened. As I looked at the audience, I could recognize some people who feel like they didn't belong in an episode like this. There was Victoria Mendez, Oreo, Jenny and Oliver from Oliver and Company, and Peter Napaldi. The puppets were sentenced to 40,000 years of community service. And that goes to their credits, which played in a normal way. You know, I was right. This episode made me face my fears. I no longer have fears of those damn puppets. I mean, puppets can be scary, but it's a good thing that we can all face our fears once in a little while. As soon as the credits ended, a knock was at the door. I looked out the window and saw two police officers that actually happened to be from that one Mario Party commercial from the 90s. I heard everything. They asked Toff and Pat and Gloria if I happened to come here. They kept telling the officers no and they left. For some reason, I had now been spending 2 weeks at Diana's house thanks to the police looking for me. My advice is that you should always try to face your fears and never escape prison until said otherwise. The end. Huh?